All right, today we're going to talk about something that, well, it pretty much defies modern logic. We're diving into a food system that's thousands of years old, completely self sustaining, and can crank out a shocking amount of food with almost zero help from us.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. A system that just works, you know? This idea, it comes from a Chinese farmer named Fan Li way back over 2,000 years ago. And it sounds, I admit, a little too good to be true. But as you're about to see, it's absolutely real.
So that's the big question, right? How does a simple pond pull this off and become a self sustaining food factory? What's the secret sauce? Well, it's not magic, it's pure biology. The answer is this perfectly balanced, closed loop ecosystem where every single piece of the puzzle has a critical job to do. Okay, to really get this, we've got to shift our thinking. Let's stop picturing a simple, quiet pond. Instead, I want you to see it for what it really is, a highly efficient biological engine. Seriously, an engine that runs on sunlight, water, and life itself. So this engine, it's built on four main pillars. You've got ducks up top, aquatic plants doing the filtering, the fish living inside, and then you've got these invisible workhorses, the bacteria, doing all the heavy lifting. Every single part is connected, creating this beautiful cycle of life. So let's break it down. All right, first up, the ducks. And no, they're not just there for the eggs, though, man, they produce a ton of them. See, as they paddle around, they're constantly stirring up the mud at the bottom, releasing all these trapped nutrients. But here's the real kicker, their manure. It's packed with nitrogen, which is basically rocket fuel for the entire food chain. It feeds the algae and, boom, the whole system starts up. They're literally the ignition key for the engine. Okay, next up, the aquatic plants. Think of these as the pond's living, breathing filtration system. You've got things like cattails and water lilies, and what they do is soak up excess nitrates and phosphorus. Now, those are the same nutrients that, if you get too much of them, can cause nasty algae blooms. So the plants keep everything in check, making the water stable and healthy for the fish. And then there's this one plant in particular, duckweed. You guys, this stuff is an absolute powerhouse. It can literally double its own weight every 2 days. It just sucks nutrients out of the water and turns them into a super high protein snack for the ducks. It's this perfect self-reinforcing feedback loop. The ducks fertilize the water, which grows the duckweed, which feeds the ducks. Which, of course, brings us to the fish. Now, the real secret here isn't just throwing some fish in a pond. It's about raising multiple species together in what's called a polyculture. It's brilliant, really. You have different fish that don't compete because they live in different parts of the pond and eat different things. So you'll have bluegill near the surface, munching on insects. You've got catfish on the bottom cleaning things up. And then you have tilapia in the middle eating algae. It's just maximum efficiency. Nothing goes to waste. And underpinning all of this is the invisible force that holds it all together, the nitrogen cycle. Remember that fourth pillar, the bacteria? This is their moment to shine. It's a two-step process. First, one team of bacteria takes toxic ammonia, from fish waste, and turns it into nitrites. Then, a second team of bacteria swoops in and converts those nitrites into nitrates. And those nitrates, that's the perfect plant food. It fuels the plants and the algae, and the circle is complete. It is the biochemical foundation for the whole shebang. What's so amazing about all this is that it wasn't cooked up in some high-tech lab. Nope, this system was discovered slowly over thousands of years by farmers who were just paying incredibly close attention to how nature works. So this whole story starts way back, around 3500 BCE. Farmers along the Yellow Rivers started noticing that fish were just thriving in these flood pools. Fast forward to the Shang Dynasty, and they were actively fishing in the garden, so to speak. But the real aha moment, the big breakthrough, didn't happen until the 7th century, and it was all because of a really weird rule. You're not going to believe this. The emperor of the Tang Dynasty had a family name, Li, that sounded a lot like the word for carp. So, out of respect for the emperor, farming carp was banned. Just like that. This forced farmers to start experimenting with other kinds of fish, and by doing that, they stumbled upon the super productive polyculture system we were just talking about. A simple quirk of politics sparked a whole agricultural revolution. How crazy is that?
But like so much of this ancient wisdom, the system was pretty much forgotten in the West. It got replaced by modern, input-heavy livestock farming. It really wasn't until the 20th century that some scientists decided, hey, maybe we should take another look at this.
So, in the 1960s, a team at Auburn University decided to put it to the test. They set up these little experimental ponds, only about 90 square meters, so, roughly the size of a backyard pool. They stocked them with some native fish, and then they pretty much just left them alone. The goal was super simple. Let's see if this ancient, low-effort system really works in a modern context. And the results? They were absolutely stunning. From that tiny little patch of water with almost zero feeding, they were harvesting 350 pounds. That's about 160 kilos of fish every single year. The ancient wisdom wasn't just folklore, it was validated right there by modern science.
Now, to really put that number into perspective, just look at this. You can see here how much protein you get from raising cattle on an acre of land. The pond system just blows it out of the water, producing way more protein in a much smaller space. And remember, raising cattle requires constant inputs: feed, medicine, labor. This pond system, it basically runs itself.
But look, the real value here goes way beyond just the impressive numbers on a chart. It's about something much bigger. It's about independence, it's about sustainability, and it's about a fundamental shift in how we even think about where our food comes from. And that brings us right back to where we started with Fan Li, the guy who first wrote this all down. More than 2,000 years ago, he got the core principle. The goal isn't to control nature, to force it to do what we want. It's about cooperating with it. It's about creating the right conditions for nature to do its thing, and then we get to share in that abundance. It's a partnership. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In our constant search for these super complex, high-tech solutions to our food problems, could it be that the most powerful systems are the ones we've already forgotten? Maybe they've just been sitting there, quietly working for thousands of years, waiting for us to rediscover them.